Hey guys, Jacob here. New Sounds and Old is the channel. I'm probably the last person to do a Vinyl Tag 2022. Not surprising because I'm really struggling to get videos done. But here we go. As you know, there are two different rounds of questions out there. I have chosen the Rob Walker questions, and here we go. Question number one: favorite album bought in 2021? Well, I think the favorite album that I bought last year was also my favorite album from last year, and that is this one, Floating Points and Pharoah Sanders with the London Symphony Orchestra, and the album called Promises. Now, I may have been one of the only people in the world to buy this album, not because of Pharoah Sanders, but because of Floating Points. I obviously knew about Pharoah Sanders. I did not have a single album featuring him in my collection, to be honest with you. I have for some years now been a big fan of Sam, and I forget his last name now, but Sam, who is Floating Points. And I was very eager to get hold of this album and to listen to it. And it really blew my mind. By far the album that I listened to the most last year. Ambient, classical, free jazz. Oh man, it's a masterpiece. And I think that's my favorite album that I got last year. So next question: an album by the first person you saw live. Well, I'm in Denmark, and uh, in the town where I grew up, there every week is like a festive week with live music every night in the city square. And one of the most famous Danish musicians, at least in Denmark, he's sadly not with us anymore. And I'm gonna show you a cover now with featuring a lady, painted lady who is naked. Just if you have your kids watching, or if you are easily offended, please look away now. But this is Kim Larsen and the band that he had in, this is from 1986 or 87. Bellamy was his name, was the band's name, and the album is Yomi Yomi. And with this album, this was a top seller album in Denmark, and he played in my hometown, and there were, I don't know, 30,000 people in a square that could hold maybe 20,000 people, and I was 10 years old, and it was, I really liked this album. I like Kim Larsen and his music, and that's him right there. And yeah, that is one of the first artists that I recall seeing live. So 10 years old, Kim Larsen. Um, Next up is an album by a duo, and I want to show this one that I actually just picked up in December. I think it was released in November. Um, Another album by the legend Tony Bennett and the also legend Lady Gaga. This is Love for Sale. This is their um, second duo or duet jazz album, and it is just as good as the first one. I mean, they're singing all the classics here: Night and Day, Love for Sale, I Get a Kick Out of You, Let's Do It, and so on. And it's it's the standard repertoire, but Lady Gaga, as always, sings wonderfully, and Tony Bennett in his 90s, and sadly, I guess suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, or something like that, just gives a stellar performance. I happened to come across a special done for MTV for this album, and he sang beautifully. He just sang so great, and yeah, been a fan of Tony Bennett's for I think I discovered him with the MTV Unplugged back in, when was that, 91, 92. That's where I discovered Tony Bennett, and I've been a fan of his ever since. And yeah, I'm happy that they got to do this album. I'm happy that that he looks so happy singing the songs on this MTV special. So Tony Bennett, Lady Gaga, an album in Shrink, an album that I have bought and have yet to release from the shrink wrap, is a compilation, um, which shows, I guess some would call my bad taste in music sometimes. But this is a 2-disc set with 90s dance anthems. And this has everything you need. This has Fatboy Slim, Basement Jaxx, Ultra Naté, Snap, Robin S., Robert Miles, Faithless. I mean, all killer, no filler. Yeah, but it's still in shrink. I still have not listened to it. So, concept album. I struggle a bit with this one. I'm not the biggest prog rock fan, and so I had to actually investigate and dive into my collection and see if there was anything that in any way had some sort of concept. And I guess I knew about it, but I had to read up on it just to hopefully be able to explain it in a good way. This is Father John Misty. This is his album Pure Comedy. And this album, the concept behind this album is that there's a species of half-brained people, if you will, half-formed brain people who live on this rock amongst other species that are more adept and that are more well-functioning. And so this half of brain species, I guess they kind of feels kind of left out. So they turn to some older species because this is far out. They I guess that they go well together with this older species living on this rock here, and together they form a sense of unity and love and so on. And to get by, they come up with all of these ironies um, and make funny jokes that are not really funny, that are ironic, and that are maybe not really ironic, and so on. Read about it on the net. Father John Misty, he has quite a brain that I guess that for a brain scientist, it would be really interesting to pick. Um, But Pure Comedy is an ironic title because this is not a comedy album. This is a slow, if you will, sad album. But it's a great album. Great songs on here. But yeah, that is my best guess at a concept album in my collection, I guess. Question number 6 is an album in your collection that you have not played yet. And I recently picked up this 3-disc box set, if you will, of I can't pronounce his first name, Gioacchino Rossini, and his opera Il Barbiere di Siviglia, or The Barber of Seville. Deutsche Grammophon, like I said, 3 albums inside. They look, I mean, basically unplayed. There's a giant booklet in here which features the entire libretto, so the entire text of the opera in German, English, French, and Italian, of course, the original language. And something like this you can easily pick up in Denmark for about $1 or $1.50. And that is just amazing. I'm on a classical music trip. I have been for a long time. Starting to get into operas slowly. It's a challenge if you know, when you first start, but it's relatively easy to find the beauty in a really good opera, and this is one of them. But yeah, I still have yet to listen to this album here. So next, question number 7, an album by an artist discovered in 2021. So I guess that I didn't really discover this person in 2021. I already knew about her, but as a solo artist, this cover is pissing me off. As a solo artist, I discovered her last year. This is the British singer Cleo Sol. This is her album from last year called Mother. This is Cleo with her newborn baby in her lap. And this is one of the best albums, in my opinion, of last year. Cleo Sol is also the singer on many of the albums by the band Salt, by the project Salt, Sault. which is they play a kind of neo soul, R&B, hip hop, and style, and they just have a groove like no one else out there at the moment. And Cleo's, she's done two solo albums so far. This was from last year, and the one you can see maybe right up here is the one that she released last year, called Promise of the Sun, I think, which is also great. Her solo albums are a bit more downbeat, a bit more focused on the neo soul and not as much on the hip hop vibe or jazz vibe, but they are brilliant, and she is brilliant. Highly recommend that you check out Cleo Soul. Next up, question number 8, a live album. I chose to show you this one, which is the British ambient legendary project called Orb, or The Orb, and this is their album called Live 93. The cover here is, of course, a salute to the classic Pink Floyd Animals cover with the pig over the, what do you call it? Yeah, with the pig flying over the industrial buildings. This is a stuffed sheep. And so that's one salute on this album cover here. The other one, as you can see, Orb Live 93. The other salute here is on the back of the cover where it says Bro Evil 39, which is a salute to Hitler. Not in a good way, obviously, but in a bad way, in a really bad way, because he was a jerk. So he was an evil bro in 39, and Orb were live in 93. So this is a 4-disc live album with music from the Orb, recorded in various locations. Some of them are even recorded here in Denmark, in Copenhagen. It's a great album. Question number 9, an album from a different continent. I chose this one. This is Mdou Mokhtar and his album called Afrique Victime. Also one of my favorites from last year. Mdou Mokhtar is from a country in Africa, which spells Niger. I'm not sure of the pronunciation. I don't want to get into trouble. I would say it's either Niger or Niger, but it's definitely not the other word that is very close to it. But Mdou Mokhtar, Afrique Victime, the sound of Africa in 2021, great album. Album with a price sticker. The Smiths, Louder Than Bombs. I got this at a record fair. I paid 300 krona, which is what? 35 euros or something. 35 to $40. This is a first US pressing. Sadly not a UK one. I would have loved if it were UK, but it's a US pressing, that's fine. A live album from the Smiths, and a great one as well. Yep. Question number 11, we're halfway there. An album that is either punk or new wave. This is my favorite new wave album, if it's called new wave. B-52s, their debut album with Rock Lobster, with Planet Clear. Great album. Love the early B-52s. Absolutely love it. Question number 12, show a box set. I recently picked up this box set here. Actually, between Christmas and New Year's, I picked up this box set here, which is Miles Davis, The Complete Cooking Sessions. So this album has Miles Davis quintet, cooking, working, relaxing, and steaming. And featured as bonus tracks spread on the 4 discs are also songs Nijbesse. Sorry, there's a really naughty cat in here. Det må man ikke basse, vel? Feigebein. Spread out on the 4 discs, are bonus tracks, and actually they are all the tracks from the album called Miles. I think it's the one that's just called Miles. Yeah. So all of the songs from the album Miles are spread on these 4 discs as bonus tracks, and This, I think this originally came out in 2020, where it was all black vinyl. This reissue from 2021, which my store had this for Black Friday, Record Store Day. I could find nowhere that this is an official Record Store Day Black Friday release. But anyways, it came out at around that time. But the 4 discs in here are all colored: orange, red, blue, and pink or purple or something. But it's a great box set. Yep. Next up, an album with a sports theme. I could not find an album. I actually do, according to my Discogs, somewhere have Huey Lewis and the New Sports. I don't know why I have that. That's not something that I would listen to. Anyways, I couldn't find it, and I really struggled with this question. Could not find another album with a sports theme, so I'm showing you a 7-inch single, Kraftwerk Tour de France, the original 1983 single, European pressing. Yeah. So, number 14, a jazz album. This is the album called Netan, or The Night, from Danish jazz duo Bremer McCoy. They are a duo with Morten McCoy playing keys and Jonathan Bremer playing bass. And they play an almost like ambient jazz, if you will. It's very downbeat. It's very chilled. It's just really hauntingly beautiful. This is their second album out on the record label Luaka Bob, which David Burns started years back. Highly recommend if you're into really quiet, somber, ethereal, haunting jazz music, with keys and bass. Bremer McCoy and Netan is something that you should check out. Best of album, struggle with this also. I don't buy many best of albums. I eventually will show you this one. This is The Cure and Greatest Hits in the Record Store Day Picture Disc edition. I think that this also came out on double black vinyl. I'm not sure if it did. I think it did. But yeah, that's the record that I'm showing you here. Question number 16, an album with at least 8 people on the cover. Yeah, this one definitely has 8 people on the cover. This is the British band Elbow and their album Giants of All Sizes from 2019. And there are a lot of people on the cover here. All with, I don't know, do you call them bathing rings? That's what we call them in Denmark, in Danish. This cover here, I recommend that you, after watching this, search on YouTube for Wave Pool China. This is a still from a video from a wave pool in China with, I don't know, seems like 1,000 people, if not more. They're all crammed together in their own individual rings, and I'm sure that half of them are not even touching the water because they're pressed upwards. And then this giant wave comes and everyone just crashes into each other and they all love it. Go figure. For an introvert, grumpy Scandinavian like me, this is hell. The album is great, but this situation of being so many people stuck together in a wave pool. Look up China Wave Pool or Chinese Wave Pool. Elbow is the band. The album is Giants of All Sizes. So, show a soundtrack. I got this last year and I was so happy to finally get this. This also has a price sticker on it so you can see how ridiculously expensive this album was. I showed it last year as well. I'm actually going to take it out of the plastic thing here so that maybe you don't see the price tag. No, I can't. I can. I will and I can. It's just this cover art, this cover It's just really annoying. The price was 550 krona. That's, I don't know, $50, $60 or something. And the soundtrack in question is Eyes Wide Shut, the Stanley Kubrick film from 2000 and I don't recall anymore. 2000, 1990, 1999. Wow. Featuring the last movie that Kubrick got to do, featuring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman back when they were still married. This has an obi strip uh, covering Tom Cruise's eyes that are not there as well. I really don't want to unpack all of this, but there are it's cut out here, so there are so many different pictures you can put as the cover on this. It's a real bitch to put it back together, so I won't split it apart. This is a favorite movie of mine and a favorite soundtrack of mine, and it was not available on vinyl until last year, and it was ridiculously expensive, and I had to have it because I just love this film and love the music. Yeah, so Eyes Wide Shut is a favorite soundtrack of mine, and that's the one I'm showing here. So we're almost there. Chosen VLT, Shina Williams, and the album African Dances, sent to me by Mr. Steve Carlson and Kat as VCLT. This is a great album. Shina was from Nigeria, and this is a boogie, disco, soul album, and it's a great one as well. A man that looks like that cannot do a bad album. So check it out if you want to. This is the Mr. Bongo reissue. Number 19. Show a cover with no writing. Check out that cover. This is a Swedish organist, panpipe organist, Anna von Hauswolf. This is her album All Thoughts Fly from 2020. I got this in 2020, and my copy was off center. And you really notice it when it's a solo panpipe organ album, because the sound just went wee wee, and it wasn't supposed to go like that. Returned it at the store. They tried to get me a new one, and they eventually wrote to me, "We can't get this." And there was something in general wrong with that pressing, so they did a new pressing, and that was bad also. Then they did a new pressing, and finally, a year after I ordered it, my store wrote to me, "We don't know how, but we got a copy for you." So this is the latest pressing of Anna von Hauswolf's 2020 album, All Thoughts Fly. Get this, a solo panpipe organ album, and it is just as exquisite as that sounds. Yeah. 3 questions left. Show a 7-inch single. The Maori People. A Kiwi Musicolor book. So this features stories about the Maori people, and it features traditional songs. And there's even a small booklet inside with pictures and everything showing the Maori culture. And this, I have a couple of these with different cultures and so on. This is just amazing. Then the 7-inch is here in a plastic bag here. Yeah, I don't know how this got from New Zealand to Denmark. I have no idea, but I'm thankful that it did. Show a colored album. Madonna, Hard Candy. Her, oh man, when was this released? 2008 album. Actually, a good album. This is a 3-disc set because it features also, or it also has a 12-inch bonus disc. But album number 1 is blue, or disc number 1. The struggle of getting a record into a cover again. Disc number 2 is pink. And then the bonus disc, bonus 12-inch is, I believe, just standard black. Yes, it is. But yeah, I doubt that many people will show Madonna in any of their vinyl tag videos, but I did. And finally, question number 22, an album from 1982. I just to pick something random, I chose this one. This is Rupa and the album Disco Jazz. Sadly, I found out when I'd already bought this is a bootleg. I knew it wasn't an original. I thought it was a reissue, like a legal reissue. It's not. It's a bootleg. But Rupa was an Indian singer who somehow had some connections to Canada. So they flew her out to Canada and recorded an album with some Indian musicians and some Canadian musicians. And this is disco jazz. That's exactly what it is, with an Indian feel to it, if you will. Great album. Mr. Bongo, I believe, released a real reissue of this. I have not gotten to buy that yet, but I will. Check this album out. It's an amazing album. And that's it. Finally, Vinyl Tag 2022. Till next time.